Heyo, Patrick, how you doing, bud?
Not too bad, tall buddy. So here's a little bit of an operation happened over in your neck of the woods.
Well, not quite my neck of the woods. I'm on the west coast of the United States, and this was on the northeast coast of
Yeah.
South America in Venezuela. It seems to be a little bit on the news and such. So,
Yes.
it's
I see
operation.
your special forces went in and got a guy.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. It was Absolute Resolve or Operation Absolute Resolve.
Okay.
And they went in and they snatched up the sitting president of a foreign country, Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela. So
yeah, he was more of a dictator than a president, really, wasn't he?
Well, like a cartel leader, just in bad faith with the United States, causing all kinds of ruckus internally and externally to the United States, right?
Yeah.
So the other day he said, "Hey, President Trump, you're a coward. I'm right here. Come and get me." Apparently, Trump took it personally. I don't know what the aftermath is, but I probably wouldn't piss that guy off.
But this operation has been planned for many, many months, long before he made that statement. But this operation looks like it's been planned by the CIA and such other special operators.
It looks like, from our research, around the August 2025 timeframe, we sent in operatives to gather intelligence and learn the things that we could learn to affect this operation. So we'll look at task and purpose and what they have to say about it, and we'll go through it. So I'll start reading this. News around the world, Americas. It's President Donald Trump said no personnel were killed in the attack on Venezuela, dubbed Operation Absolute Resolve. We have a pretty nifty picture there. Look at that. Helicopters in the dark, right? Somebody's got the night vision goggles working like a champ. So Delta Force and soldiers from the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, that is out of Joint Base, the one in Washington. What is that joint base in Washington? Lewis McChord. So GBLM, that's the housing base for the 160th. I know a couple of people who have served in that unit. So Delta Force, okay. Well, I was in the military for a hot minute. So Delta Force and soldiers with the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment were involved in the operation to capture Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife in the early hours of Saturday. Task and Purpose has learned. So we're learning from Task and Purpose, and you are learning from us. So in a press conference Saturday morning, President Trump said that no U.S. personnel were killed in the attack, which saw airstrikes hit several sites in Venezuela. U.S. Special Operations Forces moved in by helicopter into the capital of Caracas, captured Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores. They are now being held on a U.S. Navy ship in the Caribbean. That has since changed, as he is now, I believe, in Manhattan, in New York. So also, we were watching Habitual Line Crosser, who was discussing how that attack more than likely went down. I would suggest going and checking that out. Pretty funny story. Very America-centric. Well, he's got missiletism. Like, he's
quite entertaining, though. It was very entertaining. It was
amazing. It was really well done. Yeah. He was a anti-aircraft specialist in the United States Armed Forces, and he has a lot of good knowledge on those systems and things like that. So if you want to know how to defend things that come in the air, that's the dude to watch. He's pretty clever, pretty funny. So, all right. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, speaking with Trump Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, said that the attack, Operation Absolute Resolve, was a culmination of months of planning and rehearsal, as a good operation would more than likely be.
Yeah, definitely.
Troops were staged and sat ready during late December, Kane said. He pointed to good weather conditions on Friday night. Trump gave the approval shortly before 11 p.m. Eastern time. The operation involved 150 aircraft from 20 different bases and ships. Kane said, including Navy, Air Force, and Marine Corps fighter jets and bombers. In case you didn't know, the United States has like the three largest air forces in the world. We have the Air Force, the U.S. Navy, and the Army has a ton of things with propellers. So we've got a lot going on there. So 160th SOAR helicopters flew low over the Caribbean Sea until they reached the land. Fighters and bombers provided air cover. The helicopters fired on Venezuelan ground defenses with overwhelming force. When the U.S. forces came under fire during the raid, one helicopter was damaged but remained operational during the mission, Kane said. The Special Operations Force was over the water at 3:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Kane added, and Maduro was taken to the USS Iwo Jima. So,
wow.
I mean, this is super cut and dry, right? Like, we did this. This is what happened. This doesn't have any other possible.
This is the result.
Right. Yeah.
Very straight.
Like, after the football game, you know, Chelsea 3, Liverpool 1, which is how that should happen every time anyway. So.
Yeah. Don't say that to Liverpool fans.
Well, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out eventually. But if they're playing Manchester United, I want Liverpool to win every time. So that's just the way it is. So, all right. Trump said that the city was largely blacked out ahead of the raid due to a certain expertise that we have. U.S. Cyber Command that's incorrect, which oversees the military cyber warfare capabilities, also took part in the operation. Kane said. The United States is prepared to launch a second attack on Venezuela, Trump said. Asked repeatedly by members of the press, Trump did not rule out putting boots on the ground in Venezuela in the future. That is going to be problematic.
Yeah.
Well, the problem
do you think the US will be willing to do something like that?
You don't hold the ground unless you have boots on it, right?
Yeah.
So, but the problem is that for us to do that, the only force you could send in would be the U.S. Marine Corps, because the Marine Corps is the only one that's under the direct control of the president, and he doesn't really require a declaration of war to move that set of assets around. The problem is that for continued ground stuff, boots on the ground and controlling the territory, right? So the American military and the American people are now super averse to any kinds of casualties. Since Vietnam, we have just been very, very against our soldiers going places and dying. But unfortunately, in war, that's a thing that happens, right?
Like when you obviously people are kind of harping on about the U.S. tried this similar start kind of operation before with Iraq and Afghanistan and so on, putting boots on the ground, trying to change the regime and do this and do that, and it has not worked out too well for the U.S. military in those operations. Well, at the end of the day,
I think when it comes to we have a certain task. We perform that task very well, but the United States Army or military in general isn't great at the political game, because it's not their game. It's their game. Their game is the making of war and achieving results, right? But when you put them in those kinds of situations, especially when the populace doesn't want whatever it is we're trying to sell them, it's not an easy sell. You know, it's just not.
Yeah, obviously that's why he obviously pulled out of other theaters in the end, because it obviously does not work when, as you were saying, the population does not want you there. It's never going to work.
Right.
Like the same thing happened, especially with Afghanistan there, where at the end you had to pull out because the population did not want you there. Or same with Afghanistan and Iraq are probably two very different countries.
Oh, yeah, those are wildly different animals. But yeah, there was a lot going on there.
Both have one thing in common, that none of the population wanted you there to begin with.
Right. And when we attempt to affect certain kinds of government styles in places, if the people don't want it, they're not going to play ball.
And plus the way the US military and public relations happened in both those countries in recent history did not look too well.
Right. Well,
especially the fact that the U.S. military are not very good at dealing with people as such, or they're not very good at winning hearts and minds, I should say.
Well, no, that's not their job. Their job is to make war.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you send someone to do a job that isn't really a job that they're designed for, they're not going to do great at it, right?
No, they're not.
So, yeah, if you have an offensive or defensive style operation, that's great. But when you attempt to put in stability operations and then win those hearts and minds, it's not going to be easy. Right. Their culture is wildly different. So,
and I think no matter where the US military goes, they seem to be really bad at hearts and minds. Even if it's not the Middle East, I'm just thinking of their bases around Europe as well. You start reading headlines about US military personnel going on wild magical adventures. They just don't seem to operate well outside of the United States.
This may be a little more supervision. All right. Venezuela's government declared an emergency as the attack started last night. The United States currently has more than 15,000 troops in the Caribbean region, including several destroyers and the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier. So that's going to be mostly Navy personnel in the Caribbean region. I don't think they're including like Panama. I think they're just including the water, just the international waters north of Venezuela in the Gulf of America. So, all right. So special operations units involved. Operation Absolute Resolve had a large force from multiple parts of the military, so joint force, but the raid to capture Maduro was carried out by 2 U.S. Army Special Forces. Delta Force and the 160th Special Operations Aviation, SOAR, also known as the Night Stalkers. The 160th SOAR provided air support for special operations missions. They fly multiple helicopters, including, this is a bunch of minutia. Its first combat action was in the invasion of Grenada in 1983. This is talking about the 160th SOAR in their background. That is, we'll go to the Delta Force stuff. Delta Force is one of the U.S. military's most elite combat units, formerly known as Special Forces Operation Detachment Delta. The unit was formed in 1977 as a counterterrorism and direct action force. Its members are drawn from other Army Special Operations units, 75th Ranger Regiment, alike. Let's see what else you have to say about the strike. More, okay. The rest of it's just history. Of those
history,
units,
Delta Force, and so on. But we know that the operation was very, very well run. You have to say it was absolutely very well executed.
Technically perfect. Yeah, they did everything right. So, but that leads us to who took over for Nicolas Maduro when he got.
Yes, now his vice president, as we record, has been sworn in as a new president of Venezuela.
Well, she's the interim president. So it's Delcy Rodriguez. And we have an article from PBS News here about her. We'll get into this one as well. The title is Who is Delcy Rodriguez, Venezuela's interim president after Maduro's ouster? Mexico City, AP. As uncertainty simmers in Venezuela, interim president Delcy Rodriguez has taken the place of her ally, President Nicolas Maduro, captured by the United States in a nighttime military operation, and offered to collaborate with the Trump administration in what could be a seismic shift in relations between the adversary governments. Rodriguez served as Maduro's vice president since 2018, overseeing much of Venezuela's oil-dependent economy and its feared intelligence service, and was next in the presidential line of succession. So the president and the vice president, functionally speaking, have to be in support of one another, and in the in the format of the government that Ms. Rodriguez is under with Nicolas Maduro, she has got to know the dirty laundry. She's got to know the bad things, right? So
Also, I was watching a live news report as well on Sky News UK, where they were showing live footage of the parliament over in Venezuela at the moment, where they're swearing in new members and doing all this with his son, is leading that up. But it's very interesting to see he's putting in all the old heads back into their positions. So it's just like they're playing musical chairs over there at the moment. So it doesn't seem to be much change on the ground at the moment.
Right. So Delcy Rodriguez functionally would have to have been complicit with all of Maduro's plans, right? As a vice president, she couldn't say no, especially functionally he's a dictator. He's a narco dictator.
And also, as they were saying, she headed up quite a lot of the counterinsurgency over there as well. Right. So she literally knew where all the bodies were buried.
Well, right. And she's been declared Marxist since the early 90s when she got out of law school in 93, right? So,
yeah. But the opposition leader then that was elected in 2024, when they had an election then, she, by all accounts, won massive majorities across the board. But obviously he, as you know, he kind of overruled.
Right.
Well,
right.
Basically just voted,
he just said no.
Ignored and just said no, pretty much. But she seems to be a pretty solid choice. She seems to be pretty centered. He just wants change for our country, better living standards, and so on.
I understand that. Well, the situation was as before, she's complicit in whatever the actions were of the president. Right?
Yeah, I'm talking about the opposition leeder right now, not the
opposition leader. Got it. Yeah. Okay. And
she's very much centrist. I'm going to send it to you, and then I'm going to get you to pronounce it.
Oh, because I'm
going to get you to. Yeah, I'm going to get you to.
All right, send it, bud.
But in the meantime, while we're looking up, you can keep going through the article.
All right. Rodriguez served as Maduro's vice president since 2018, overseeing much of Venezuela's oil-dependent economy. We did that already. Maduro was taken to Manhattan. Okay, so he's in Manhattan for his first appearance on drug trafficking charges. I don't know that there can be anything other than that's exactly what was happening. She's part of a band.
The judge actually heading that up is a 92-year-old judge.
Oh wow,
at the moment.
That's old school.
He was actually appointed back in 1998 by Bill Clinton at the time.
Oh wow, okay. Delcy Rodriguez is part of a band of senior officials in Maduro's administration that now appears to control Venezuela, even as U.S. President Donald Trump and other officials say they will pressure the government to fall in line with its vision for the oil-rich nation. So if you understand that just a few years ago, they were generating 4.5 approximately million barrels a day, and now they're under a million, right? But a lot of that also has to do with the shadow fleet stuff that's going on with Iran and how they're changing the tag on ships so they can offload their oil onto Venezuela tag ships, right? So
yeah.
All right. On Saturday, Venezuela's high court ordered her to assume the role of interim president, and the leader was backed by Venezuela's military. Pretty important in these kinds of things. So,
well, she actually needed that. The military dictatorship is very important.
Well, I've seen you play Tropico 6, so I know.
Yeah.
So.
And don't tell our audience what I call it.
I won't tell them what you call it. Funny, but not appropriate. All right. Rodriguez is a 56-year-old lawyer and politician, has had a lengthy career representing the revolution started by the late Hugo Chavez on the world stage. It's been unclear if the leader would warm up to the Trump administration or follow the same adversarial line as her predecessor. So Hugo Chavez was functionally the one that forced this type of government style on this country.
Right, yeah. And to be honest, it was working up to a couple of years ago. As you were saying, they were producing oil, they were a pretty rich country. We've all seen the images. And then, unfortunately, they voted in a dictator and things just went downhill from there.
Right,
over a third of the population has, if not more, have left Venezuela for a better life.
Right, 27, 28 million people live there, and now there's about 18 million. So they've sent a lot of them away, or a lot of them got out as quickly as they could.
A lot of them left because the place was just literally starving to death.
Oh yeah. Well, if you ain't got food,
and
you gotta go where the food is.
Yeah, I know. I read the headlines that Trump and his people have put out about prisons and so on. But an awful lot of them are just normal, hardworking people who just got out and looked for a better life as well.
Right.
So we have to put that in.
This article because it has some really, really good URLs to click into. The next one is read more. Experts say Trump's plan to seize and revitalize Venezuela's oil industry faces major.
And also, I sent you on the opposition leader there as well.
Oh, here we go. Oh, Maria Corina Machado.
Yeah, Maria actually, very interesting. A very interesting lady, actually. Very, very interesting. Just going through her bio here. Okay. Really, really good. Very solid person.
Right.
But do I see her being backed by the US? I doubt it.
Well,
I don't see Trump and his people backing her though, which is a shame because she seems pretty solid, to be honest.
Well, if she's the one that won the election, and he's very, very worried about people who win elections, good or bad. I don't know.
Yeah,
you should probably support that one.
She should. In fairness, now the French and others have already spoken out saying that obviously they should actually help make her the president because she actually genuinely won the popular vote.
Well, then it's a span of control problem. Can they control that one, right? So the U.S. is looking to ensure that they can control something there. And
yeah,
I would think that it would be the production of oil and to attempt to get their country in a space where their people weren't starving to death. Right?
Basically, they want a place where the U.S. can get as much oil as they can out of the place.
Possibly.
Let's not.
Right.
Yeah,
and
that's not possible. There is not other considerations. That's pretty much what they were talking about. You can see it even with Trump's idea of we're going to send US companies in there to get his
he said
send US companies in there to extract oil, make the place richer, and employ everyone, and basically that's pretty much what it's about.
There are other things going on there. We might disagree on that, but I think there's some other stuff. But we'll read more.
Don't get me wrong; it is a complete basket case as a country, and there's a lot of cartels running it. But let's not fool ourselves. That's the main reason why they're gone in there. If that was the case, they would have gone to Mexico, Colombia, Brazil, and other countries that have cartels leading them as well.
All right, here we go. Her rise to become interim leader of the South American country came as a surprise on Saturday morning when Trump announced that the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, had been in communication with Rodriguez and that the Venezuelan leader was gracious and would work with the American government. Rubio said Rodriguez was someone the administration could work with, unlike Maduro. Interesting. That's someone I can work with. It sounds ominous, actually. All right.
See what I mean? I told you. I called it before you read it out. I called it. I told you that.
Well, but I don't think she's going to play ball.
Yeah.
I don't think she's going to play ball.
She will. She'll play ball because she'll have a phone call with Trump and the rest of them, and she'll be told, "Do you want to end up in New York prison?" That's pretty much what's going to happen.
Oh wow!
She'll play ball.
Here we go. But in a television address, Rodriguez gave no indication that she would cooperate. Wow, English is difficult. Cooperate with Trump, referring to his government as extremist and maintaining that Maduro was Venezuelans' rightful leader. Maybe she won't play ball, dude. What is being done?
Wait till you see the future headlines.
Okay.
I'm calling it. We're recording this now on the 5th of January.
Oh,
and I would say give it a week or two. And either she plays ball or she'll be taken out and somebody else will be put in there.
Probably
exactly what's going to happen.
Carino Machado, the rightfully elected leader of that country. All right. What is being done in Venezuela is an atrocity that violates international law, Rodriguez said, surrounded by high-ranking civilian officials and military leaders. Trump warned on Sunday if Rodriguez didn't fall in line, she was going to pay a very big price, probably bigger than Maduro. He added that he wanted to provide total access from oil facilities to basic infrastructure like roads so they can be rebuilt. Trump's comment also followed Rubio having asserted in TV interviews on Sunday that he didn't see Rodriguez and her government as legitimate because he said the country never held free and fair elections. There you go. On Sunday, in statements posted to her Instagram, she took a major shift in tone with conciliatory message where she said she hoped to build respectful relations with Trump. Wow, that was fast. Oh, we didn't even have to wait till after today.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah. And by the way, we went to this article completely blind, but I will say one thing, that she will play ball. She knows she has no choice but to play ball. Right. Unless she wants a tomahawk dropped on her or something else.
Right. A Moab. We invite the U.S. government to collaborate with us on an agenda of cooperation oriented towards shared development within the framework of international law to strengthen lasting community coexistence, she wrote.
Yeah. That didn't take long.
No, that didn't sound like they're extremists. I don't like this. And then, hey, you need to act right. She's like, I think the live images of the former president being dragged through New York in chains might have changed her mind. Just say. Maybe. So she was a lawyer who was educated in Britain and France. The interim president and her brother Jorge Rodriguez had the Maduro-controlled National Assembly, have sterling leftist credentials born from tragedy. Their father was a socialist leader who was arrested for his involvement in the kidnapping of an American business owner, William Nyhouse, in 1976, and later died in police custody. All right. So unlike many in Maduro's inner circle, like Rodriguez's siblings have avoided criminal indictments in the U.S., though the interim president did face U.S. sanctions during Trump's first term for her role in undermining Venezuelan democracy. So in service to Maduro, she has done some very socialist, leftist kinds of things. So again, she had to be complicit in denying Maria Corina Machado's ascension.
It'd be very interesting if Trump does work with her, how he's going to sell that. It's going to be very, very interesting.
Right.
Because he has been very, very anti-socialist very anti-left wing.
Yep.
So I don't know how he's going to sell this to his base if he does start working with her.
Well, we
It'll be
have
very interesting.
Mamdani in New York and Wilson in Seattle now, both mayors of major cities, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast. So we're going to see how that works out. We're still waiting to 6
Well,
months.
it's going to be very interesting to see how Trump sells this specific leader.
Individual, yeah.
To his base.
That doesn't look good.
I don't know how he's going to wrap that one up and put a ribbon on it. It's be very interesting.
It's going to be a very pretty bow, yeah.
Yeah. Because it looks, from an international point of view, looking in, it looks like this was an oil grab. That's all it looks like. No matter what the ribbons are around it.
Well, no, but he said that. He said that they need to increase their oil production, and a lot of their economy is tied to it, and they're failing. They're not maintaining the derricks and the structures and all the things to produce the oil, and that means their company is losing out on 3 million barrels of GDP a day. That is a massive amount of money that could spurn that economy to make sure people aren't starving.
Recently enough, the U.S. government also released a national security report.
Yep.
Where they outlined their plans where they're going to honestly secure the economic future of the United States by pretty much any means necessary. They've said it in black and white.
Yeah. Well.
And obviously we're seeing now the results of that security report.
All right, we're going to finish this paragraph and then get on to the global reactions. So Rodriguez held a number of lower-level positions under Chavez's government, but gained prominence working under Maduro to the point of being seen as his successor. She served the economic minister, foreign affairs minister, petroleum minister, and others to help stabilize Venezuela's endemically crisis-stricken economy after years of rampant inflation and turmoil. What happens with socialism? Rodriguez developed strong ties with Republicans in the oil industry and on Wall Street, who balked at the notion of U.S.-led regime change. The interim president also presided over an assembly promoted by Maduro in response to street protests in 2017 meant to neutralize the opposition majority legislature. So what they do is they send in people with guns in a country where you're not allowed to have guns and where the protests are. And the government can say, those aren't police, those aren't members of the government, except it performs the exact function of like dispersing people and doing it with guns that are of Russian design. So, all right, let's see what the global reaction is to U.S. strikes.
So, global reaction to the U.S. strikes on Venezuela include condemnations and concerns for foreign nationals. The capture of the Venezuelan leader and his wife during the U.S. military the U.S. military strike ordered by U.S. Trump. Many U.S. adversaries, including Venezuela's nearest neighbors, condemned the strikes, while other governments around the world call for de-escalation and voice concerns for their citizens in Latin American nations. Yeah, actually, funny enough is when I was reading and looking at a lot of news articles in the last few hours, that's what a lot of people around the world are worried about, is their own citizens in these particular countries, including Venezuela at the moment, because there is a few national companies that are working in Venezuela at the moment. Especially there is smaller oil companies that do work in Venezuela from around the world.
So the Latin American reaction was interesting for sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. The Latin American reaction: Colombia, which shares a border with Venezuela, calls for the call for urgent de-escalation. That's not going to happen.
Right.
Because the way Trump has reacted to Colombia recently as well is very much what he said about Venezuela. So I would not be surprised in the near future if there's an action in Colombia as well. Of some sort.
Right. All right. I got it. It said it had implemented steps to protect the civilian population, preserve stability on the Colombian-Venezuelan border, and promptly address any potential humanitarian and migration needs. So the problem with that is anybody leaving Venezuela on land headed north is going to be going through Colombia, right? They're going to have to get to the north side of Colombia and then go through the Darien Gap, which is a massive section that is just like dense jungle, like as dense as you can get. And so like they already know that the people are going that way, right? So in fairness to
the Colombian governments, they have said they can't financially support this excess of people. So they just kind of moved them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They ship them north for sure. So
They have no choice. They just can't financially support them themselves. It's just a massive, massive population move.
crazy. All right. After Mr. Trump said Sunday he felt Colombian President Gustavo Petro is not going to be doing it for very long, Petro said on Monday he would take up arms. Okay.
Now, yeah, bear in mind now, Colombia's military is a bit better equipped than Venezuela. Just to bear that in mind as well to people. Because they have been buying a lot of high-end equipment for a long time.
For sure.
So it'd be very interesting. It would, if a similar operation happens on Colombian soil, would there be 0 US casualties? It'd be a coin flip. And that's been the only way you could put it.
Right. Petro said he swore on X he would never touch a weapon again since the Peace Pact of 1989. But for the homeland, I would take up arms that I don't want. Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Trump said Sunday that Colombia is very sick too, run by a very sick man. Asked if he would carry out military operations there, Mr. Trump responded, "Oh, sounds good to me." Huh. There you go.
Told you. All jokes aside, he's going to carry out another operation like this on Colombia. I literally put money on it. If he does not do this in the next couple of weeks or months, I'd be very surprised.
All right. I bet you 20 push-ups, dude. 20 push-ups. All right.
There's no bother.
Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel said called the operation a criminal U.S. attack. He said the country denounced the attack and called for an urgent reaction from the international community. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva called the U.S. action a serious affront to Venezuela's sovereignty. The AFP news agency reported. He said the strike and capture of Maduro crossed an unacceptable line and threatened the preservation of the region as a zone of peace. Zone of peace? He must be unaware of what's going on in Venezuela. It's not particularly a zone of peace. It's a dictatorship.
Well, you have to remember, this is Colombia now we're talking about. So, their history is a bit spotty at best. Is that the word we could use?
I don't know if they're buddies, though. I don't know if I don't know.
They're friends to a certain degree, but it's interesting to see that a lot of the South American countries, minus Argentina, but most of them have not been too welcome about this attack. They've been welcome to get rid of him, but not the way it was done. Right. That's probably the best way to put it.
People don't like the method. They're really just uncomfortable because Nicolas Maduro's like, you know what, guys? I know you don't like me, and I'm such a bad dude. I think I'll just stop. I'll just leave.
I think what people are worried about is this sets a very, very dangerous precedent in international law.
Okay.
Because what the US doesn't quite realize is what's stopping other superpowers doing the same thing to them. What happens if one of your senators who's not particularly liked by a certain government, if he's on a foreign mission, they suddenly just go in and nab him and drag him back to their country?
I don't think that would turn out well for that country, actually.
What happens if it's China, India, Pakistan, so on? There's others. I don't think the US quite realizes there is more than one military out there that has the same capabilities. They mightn't use them as much as the US, but they have the capabilities as well.
But they don't have expeditionary force capabilities like the United States has.
No, they don't. But I'm just saying, what happens if they do so? I'm just, as I said, just saying ideas out there that what happens if
it's definitely cause for concern. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I get it. All right, so the UN chief concerned about the aftermath said, I am deeply concerned about the possible intensification of instability in the country, the potential impact on the region, and the precedent it may set, like you said, for how relations between and among states are conducted. He was also, Guerrero said he was concerned that the rules of international law had not been respected, and he calls on all Venezuelan actors to engage in inclusive democratic dialogue in which all sectors of society can determine their future. But that isn't the style of government. So he's saying, I don't like narco dictatorships, but they should actually just be nice and do nice, which they're not going to do. They're a narco dictatorship, right?
Yes, he's saying that now, but now Now they're talking about working with the vice president of Venezuela,
Okay.
who is, you know, what I'm trying to say is he says that now, but if she soft soaps him, which is pretty easy to do with Trump, he will do business with her. It looks like he will. So you're just taking out the old boss, put in the new boss, and then just carry on with business that
the new
benefits
boss
everyone.
being complicit in all of the things that the old boss was complicit in. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I guarantee you, I nearly put money he will. He will do business with her.
So French President Emmanuel Macron said Monday he neither supported nor approved of the U.S. operation after initially saying on social media Venezuela can only rejoice at Maduro's ouster. Okay. AFP reported government spokeswoman Maud Bregson said Monday that Macron told his cabinet, "We defend international law and the freedom of people. The method employed is neither supported nor approved." So he's glad dude is gone, but he doesn't like how it was done. Macron also said if a transition takes place in Venezuela, then the 2024 winner must obviously play a central role in it, referring to Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia, the candidate in last year's presidential election who was widely considered to have won the race. So what about Ms. Machado? Where does she fall on that? I guess we'll have to research that. All right.
Well, no, she there was an election in 2024 and she won it. And then he just overrode. Then he just overrode. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's who actually won it. But the problem is, I don't see Trump backing this opposition leader.
Right.
Because one, she's not very, she's more center than anything else. I've always said she's very center.
Okay.
Very common sense approach to fixing her country. But she's also been very critical of Trump in the past. So, you know,
makes sense.
Unless she finds a way of buttering them up a bit, as they say.
Might work. All right. So China says China says it wants Maduro freed immediately. The Chinese Foreign Ministry said in a statement Sunday that it calls on the U.S. to ensure the personal safety of President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, release them at once, and stop toppling the government of Venezuela. Beijing also depicted the U.S. strike that captured Maduro as a clear violation of international law. This is my side versus your side stuff on an international scale. Iran and Russia, same deal. The pretext to justify such actions are unfounded. Yeah, this is North Korea condemns, European nation calls for de-escalation.
North Korea is going to do it. The European nations have called for de-escalation and voiced concerns over nationals in Venezuela.
And Netanyahu praises Trump. Bold historic leadership on behalf of freedom and justice. Okay.
Of course it does.
So a lot of that's just this country lines up with that country as they always do. So cause for concern, but not doing anything about it. Strongly worded letters across the board, and nobody saying or backing a tough play, right?
I don't think it'd be interesting to see what China is going to do, because China is very much one of those countries where they look at a very much long-term picture.
Right.
So they're not going to react now or straight away or do anything fiery.
Well, they're going to set their stage for what they want to do and say later, of course.
Yes.
So,
and you also have to remember they own quite a lot of U.S. foreign debt.
They do.
So,
they really do.
Yeah. So they could really, I think they won't use their military to strike out at the United States or their allies.
Right.
But they'll definitely use their financial power to do it.
Right.
They'll find some way of striking back financially more than anything else.
They are good at it.
It's probably the best way to deal with the U.S. present administration at the moment is financially hit them in their pockets is probably the easiest way to do it.
Right in the old pocketbook. So, all right, that is our Maduro episode. As this thing develops, we will probably do another couple of these if things get a little more wild. We just figured it was pointing to bring it up today. So, for Patrick McCallum, I am Alex Johansson. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the things, and help us beat the algorithm. Have a wonderful day. We're the A&P Gents, and we are out.